the CDBG state.
So, we want to submit a grant on behalf of Superior Meats in Mineral County for the expansion project. Giving you the expansion proposal there in your packet, as well as kind of an overview and a copy of the actual grant application. And then I have all of the grant workings here if you're interested in looking at them.
So what year would this CDBG, what applicable year would it?
It'll be fiscal year 18.
18.
So yeah, I will be going over to Helena on Friday, next Friday,
Okay.
and talking with the Department of Commerce and seeing kind of where it's at, if there's things I need to change around or more information needed, stuff like that. And we can make it. Year, and then all of the money from the CDBG funds will come back into the revolving loan fund here in the And then in that is written in for $24,000 for admin costs, which was paid for me to administer the grant.
She's paid out of the revolving loan fund. We put that money back into the revolving loan fund.
So it'd be 300,000 plus the 24,000.
Basically a wash to the revolving loan fund.
I thought, it says total Mineral County revolving loan fund on the page here. Sorry, Emily. Whoever I'm talking to.
Yes.
It says 79.9. I thought we only had 50 left.
What we've always, you want to talk to that?
I can, sure. So we try to keep 150,000 as reserve in there for kind of capital operating costs, for the fund. So we're kind of dipping into that a little bit just because we know that they're good for it. And
I remember you had said that.
We figured out that within 4 months we'd be back up to the 150,000 cash in there. And that's not counting the other receipts she has coming in off the current loan. So it's just a slight dip into it and then come back up. As far as what we have left to loan after this loan, we have nothing. So that was the thought there. The main reason for that loan is technically CDBG is supposed to be a 1-to-1 match. So the business requests half of the project, and then that business comes up with the other half, or the county, business, county, bank, whoever comes up with the other half of the project. Well, there's a paragraph on the bottom of that summary that says we don't have the means, and the business doesn't have the means to come up with it, and we can get a waiver for that requirement. But by the 79.9 in there, we're showing we have some skin in the game. So, and then Superior Meats is bringing all of their collateral position, the property and all their equipment forward to cover that portion of it. We have a first position, especially after their loans are retired with Wells Fargo and the bank. And so that frees them up enough to the point that they have better cash flow. It just makes their business look so much better.
Well, it raises wages, hires more people. You bet. I think it looks
Create more
good.
jobs than all.
1, 2.
Well, and even, I think, the 10 was conservative. I really think we're going to go beyond that. So, but we had to have so much in there to qualify for the project amount.
You gave me the wrong resolution.
No, that's fine. That was my only concern when I first heard
The one you were
about it.
working on last night.
No, I mean, that's the way you set that up.
1, 2, 1, 2.
It's fine with me.
Get rid of the other one.
So is the expansion gonna mainly just help do more of the same work he's doing now, slaughtering, et cetera? 'Cause we're not talking any of the barbecue sauce or anything yet.
Yeah, we are.
Also, he's gonna have to do the food licensing thing.
He's already kind of there. I'm talking to him. This is her
Yeah.
volume, so.
Oh, sorry, yeah, old habits, sorry, Elaine.
Mine too.
Yeah. So good, so the expansion isn't just expanding what he currently does, he's gonna grow and branch out and do a little bit more
1,
of
2,
this
1, 2.
food processing.
Yeah, he'll have more area to actually sell his products. He's gonna increase his retail space.
Have a smoker over there and for the jerky
Yeah.
and the roasted smoked meat.
Yeah, and their main issue right now is that they're having to, now they don't have to unplug the machines like they were having to do before the food days, but they still have to move them out of the way, you know,
Right.
before they can do the next process, and then we'll have it all going at once.
Good.
with the production company.
Yeah. Well, I like that. 7 new jobs and bigger business and
Actually,
10.
and then they're retaining 3, well, 7, or 3, depending on that. The retention part is always, if you don't get this approved, what happens to your current staff? Well, from what we were able to glean in the application, 4 people would remain there. But at this point, then they're retaining 3 and hiring 3 new. So you can say 7 and 10. And bumping up the pay at $15 an hour.
Wow, yeah, that's,
That's actually almost a living wage.
So what do you need from us next?
So I need signatures.
A motion to accept and then signature.
I would make a motion that we accept the Superior Meat expansion proposal.
I'll second that.
All in favor of CDBG grant for the expansion proposal, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay.
So you want most of them. And I kind of went through, these are all of the ones that are in the grant that need signed. The only one that's not required is the, I guess this is actually just in Department of Commerce and Superior Meat.
So need all 3 of us or just me on this?
Just you on most of them, and then there is one on the back, which is a signature certification like we did when we requested drawdowns. That way, any one of you, 2 of you can sign for those.
Do you want to get into the concrete building? There's Tim Reed.
Huh?
Yay, Tim Reed. Let's tread.
Trade style.
You need the concrete building?
The payments and all that stuff.
Thank you.
It doesn't matter. It's just gonna be a different way of doing it.
You don't go first. So the proposal for the concrete payments, we're going to, because Donnie has to have the money before the concrete is actually delivered. So he's gonna submit invoices to me prior to that date when the delivery is, and then I'll have the funds available for him when the delivery comes so that he can send him the check and pay him at that time.
Knife River won't place the concrete until they have a check in hand.
Really?
Well, you can't
Yeah.
repossess a slab, so.
Yeah, that's
You know,
true.
so, and it's the same thing with the metal buildings. He has to have so much up front to start the process, and then he has to pay the remainder once it's delivered. And so to save a small business from having to carry that debt load for that long. That's what we tried to work out. It's just a little bit different way of doing it. And then the Mineral County loan is going to pay the labor for construction. That gets away from all the federal reporting for Davis-Bacon wage and all this kind of stuff. He already exceeds Davis-Bacon rates, but it's just a matter of the record keeping. You got to have weeklies, and it's a nightmare. And the accounting costs would be such that that's not recovered anywhere. So that's what our loans do. We did the same thing with St. Regis Senior Citizen. Kept that off. Well, no, we actually did Davis-Bacon with that one. I think it was Big Sky Machine.
And it's big finishing.
Yeah, where we covered construction. So, Mr. Planner Sanitarian, sir, this enviro we got was, you figure that all the more the short form is what needs to go in?
We're gonna check this one.
Okay.
Yeah, I hadn't heard anything back from him yet. So he was thinking that it was kind of his fault, but I'm not sure, so.
Yeah, if you said there was no significant impact, which basically the document does.
Well, did your-
Sure.
Well, the,
Signature.
yeah, the short form is always just telling you, identifying whether they're there, the railroad and the interstate and that, so. I think we should, being a commercial site, I think we should be able to send that into them, but if we don't, then we'll back up real quick and push along and put it out there.
Yeah.
Unless we just think that the application's gonna do fare better with the long one, then I'll work on it.
Well, when I get done here, I'll go over to the office and I'll email it out to her, try to give her another call and see if she's in or not.
Yeah,
This morning.
they should be able to give us a little guidance if which one they want.
Is that it then?
Yeah.
We're buttoned up against the holidays.
Go on.
Okay, so Superior Meats is requesting a loan in the amount of $79,900 to help go as match towards the CDBG grant. The funds will be used to help expand their business, and it will pay for the construction labor for all of the new buildings that they're putting in.
Did you guys see, we saw this packet already, did you see the proposal?
Yes, Emily had emailed it to me,
Oh,
but we
okay.
had a hard copy, so this is good, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Superior Meat plans on building 2 more steel buildings and expanding and doing more beef jerky and other things and creating some jobs out there.
Yes, and livable wage. And it's really nice that they're gonna, that's their goal to.
I make a motion to approve the loan.
Wow, pretty good.
I would second that.
We have a first and a second. Do we have any further discussion or questions before a vote is taken?
One in the back and one
Okay.
extending. both.
Motion was passed by Mo, seconded by Commissioner Simon. Seeing no further discussion, all in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
So what's going on, what's happening with Donnie's?
He's ordered his forms, but I guess he's got crews everywhere. Idaho, he's got 2 jobs going here. He hasn't, and then he's been back east with Jonna shooting.
Yeah, they just got done with shooting on, I haven't looked at that yet.
And then all over the place. But he's spending the money like he's supposed to, and he's gonna do it, start his site prep. Every Sunday he says he's gonna do it, and then winds up doing some shooting sports stuff, so.
Yeah, I just haven't seen any activity out there, so.
Well,
I think the forms are laying out.
Yeah, that pile of styrofoam,
Oh, I haven't. I just
that's the
haven't
whole
looked that way.
building.
Oh,
And that, they fill those with concrete, and it's R19 and all this stuff, so he has spent some money on that project.
Good.
Yeah. And he's already bought the equipment, the trailer and all that stuff, so he's got that one.
Good.
So, this is some money that, the Title III money comes from the federal government, and it's mainly to do with fire protection, and we found out that it's very, very limited in scope. We thought there'd be other ways to try to spend the money, but they kind of have a strict guideline. Tim, you want to talk about anything from here? And
Sure.
yeah.
So, for our agreement, I have tried to develop the things that I would suggest to you are necessary to get the Title III program off and running. Again, many restrictions are out there. One of the restrictions is that it creates a tough situation, is that you have to have a 45-day comment period before you can expend funds. It seemed to be the better part of the process is to start the 45-day comment period and get that basically completed by today. And in that, then you can expect to start expending the funds that you have that's available in there. If that was not done, then anything to do with a coordinator and rewriting the community wildfire protection plan would have to be from some other source of funds. This will allow you to access the Title III funds by doing that. The highlights of Title III is that, of course, you want to provide information, education, and get people out there in the community to address the fuels issues around their houses and do that mitigation. That is primarily and the uppermost, but they put a lot of emphasis on the education part of it to do that. But equally important today is that, and this might be something that you don't necessarily do today, but we'll get to it. But that the next critical step is obligating the funds so that you will have funding available for fiscal year 2018.
Yeah.
So you basically 2018, 2019, you'd have 2 years, however you want to look at it. But by September 30th, you need to obligate funds, and that's something that I will discuss a little bit later in there. But in the meantime, I've done some prep work for you to hopefully get this quite a bit farther down the road. So if you want to do the position, I've prepared a position description that should meet the county format and stuff for your consideration. This would be a coordinator that would be hired to look these projects over, approve the projects, see that the projects are completed, and then be able to disperse the funds that would be appropriate. So it's something that, not being necessarily a full-time job, that it's challenging to have a lot of knowledge and skills and expertise in this, but not expect that it's going to be a full-time person. But at first, I would think the job would entail quite a few more hours than it would later in the process, and then later months and doing that. But, I think that time management, time tracking is going to be pretty integral in this. You can take a look at this. I think we have an ad that's ready to go in paper for this position that could be released if you want to go ahead and release that day. It can come out next week, and we can start looking at projects and people that would be interested in doing this down. So anyway, I've prepared that for you, and hope that will meet with your satisfaction. The other, maybe quit using terms like equally important. There's a lot of aspects that need to be accomplished. The other major driver of this process is the community wildfire protection plan. And our current plan is 2005. It is not up to date. It does not have priorities that reflect what should be done in the county. A number of the priorities of the 2005 plan, some of those have been addressed in there. So the highest priorities that are listed in there, I'm not sure that they're not the highest priority at this time. There's been some mitigation work and some things that are done in there. So that plan should be about 4th. It should be put out to the community, should be put out to the fire departments, and then a draft and series of things should come back to the commissioners for your consideration. I walked off without a plan. I know that you signed off on the last community wildfire plan, but I think that the fire chiefs also signed off on that one. So it's kind of a co-op type deal. The community wildfire protection plan is really a big driver for the Forest Service. It allows them to try to do anything that they possibly can do next to in the urban interface next to other places, if they can give any priority to that, and that should be brought forward on that. So there's a request for proposal that I put together for that. It is a pretty tight time schedule. Can you find that one, Candace? Not that, see, but anyway, it's out there. I think one thing that would be important is to have the person or contracting firm or consultant. There's a number of ways to go in this, but you can hopefully have something in order, or we'll just maybe have to put something together. But it would be nice. The fair is one of the important events, and if we can put this together by the fair so that we can have the educational materials and have that out there. But even with this one, then it might be beneficial I think it would be very beneficial to have some kind of surveys for the people that, for the residents that show up at the fair. It's a good way to contact them. And we did that for the growth policy, and we had really good results. There was a lot higher results because we went that route than we probably would have used maybe out there. So anyway, that's for your consideration then. So
Tim, what's the balance in this fund again? Is 400 and...
we won't get to that.
Oh,
So then, so the position announcement is in there for you to consider then if you want to go ahead and have that released to the paper. I think that I don't know if you want to do that before. So it's pretty standard.
Right, and if it's off the job description, I think we're okay.
Yeah. So so the position, there is a number of guidance things. There's how you build a fire-wise community, then there's fire-wise principles, and wildland urban interface. There's multiple references out there that the position needs to get familiar with, and we collected up a number of application forms for people to utilize and get their projects set forth and doing that process. But the actual how the coordinator is going to approach that, that might yet to be determined. How he's going to he sure them it is going to what approach you're going to take out there to look at these projects and preview them and oversee them, and then be able to release the funding so that the projects can get paid for. So at least some final points on that part of it. So the other thing then today, and which is important, is then I prepared a resolution for you that would line out the rationale of why you should obligate that funds. In that it at this time appears that there's right at about $350,000 available for the Title III project. You can use that for the specified things, the deputy coordinator and these projects, but the other aspect of having the 45-day comment period is that there's probably couple computers that needs to be purchased. We need to get a GIS program that's got our art and has all of our information on it, so that person can function out there in the real world. If we get them a tablet type device, the maps coordinators are able to set up a tablet device that gives the person that's using it a real world location. They can track themselves out there with a GPS type monitoring and stuff. So if they're looking for somebody and they want to find that particular location and they drive it to that point, and you can also basically access how to get there type device and stuff. But they can do a certain amount of management on that tablet, but then they would also have to have a computer that would have all of the base information. If we unload our stripped down version of the GIS program on there, they'll have contact information, people's ownership, and do that, and you can keep that thing updated. So that'll be a real benefit for them. They won't have to try to do the intermediary and try to go find this data and stuff out there. But the whole address database will be available to them for all of the current residences in the county. So, I don't know if you want to take any questions at this time, or do you want me to just go through the resolution, or?
Well, maybe just, for those, maybe just a quick, in a nutshell summary for those that may not understand, the Title III money is part of the Secure Rural Schools program, which has been in effect from the federal government for a while. And this part, the Title III part, the old money was kind of had less restrictions, and counties could use the money a little more freely without with more latitude. And now we call it new Title III money. The Congress has put really tight restrictions on it, and it's basically only for improving areas around people's homes and residents from fire protection. So the money is around $350,000, and they say you either have to spend it or you have to send it back to them. Being that, of course, we're a community of loggers and sawmills, and people might need their homes secured up with the hot summer. So the money has to be obligated by September 30th of 17, obligated or earmarked to go somewhere, but it has to be spent. When's the deadline for it to be spent, Tim?
My understanding is that you would have a two-year opportunity to do that.
So basically, it has to be spent by 19, or else we have to send it back to Congress. So, but part of it is that, so we thought this would be a good way to take $350,000, not only help the citizens in their homes, but put maybe some loggers to work and provide some logs to Tricon. And it would require a project coordinator, who would be paid out of the same fund we're referring, to accept and approve the projects, and to, like Tim alluded to, record keeping. The feds are going to want to know exact location, GPS, what land got cleaned up, and how much. And so that's why everyone's here today. We're trying to decide how to get a coordinator out on the ground so that the projects can be accepted and the fund can be obligated by September 30th, and then you have 2 years to get the work done and spend the money. If that solicits any questions, otherwise, Tim, I guess, keep going.
So your resolution is pretty standard, but just finding out some of the important things that obviously you want incentive to compete in the Firewise community and meet those standards, and you've had the 45-day comment period out there. In that, prior to that, meeting with the Forest Service and lining out some things with those, and talking to Jerry Jury, there was some good input that was given by the Forest Service and their Title III consultant expert that's out of the Missoula regional office. But then again, like I say, the wildfire protection plan, that's a high priority that the county should have. And the growth policy has also identified this as something that really should be done to enhance the county and improve things, and to have a fuels reduction program and different for space, and that was one of the goals of the growth policy. And in that growth policy work, because the Forest Service indicated that it would help them There are 537 private parcels with structures on in the urban interface that could benefit from both education rate. I don't know how many of those would opt in for work and stuff, but we've already done the basis of saying that, in our GIS program, we have those parcels identified, and we have the adjoining maps in there and stuff. So with that, then this resolution would just obligate that money and set things in motion for the expenditures and meet the criteria that I think that needs to be done out there. So that would get you not only moving on the process, but I'm hoping that this, and really hoping that this is going to be audit proof when it comes down to that. I'm really concerned with that auditing level of that's we've had scrutiny in the past that many things are indication that it was not allowable, but I think we put all of the processes together here that is going to allow this thing to be go through an audit procedure that we shouldn't have to get that. I'm hoping. So with that, I don't have a lot more to say to that. We're going to build a resource book for the position. It'll have all of the references in there. It'll have the data that I collected. There's we've even talked about applications and things that have been submitted. So we'll obviously give very high priority for any of those projects that have been presented to us, and whether we call on some DNRC people and some other resource people to come out here and work with the position and get it off and going, that's something that I would expect, and I've talked to him somewhat about that. So we can get that person up and going, and certainly assist them for the data out, the information out there for the like education at the fair. It's all out there. It's all just set and available. We just have to see how we're going to coordinate to get that there. Do that, so track that time. But it really, I think, makes the program look very agreeable to meet federal standards when we're out there doing our education and presenting that and showing them the time and effort that we're taking.
So the 45-day comment period today is basically just for the position that would come with this?
It's
or
for the program.
For the entire program?
It's just for fire, SRS, Title III funding mandate. We said in the meeting, and we were wondering, why was it 45 days? And the Forest Service even questioned why the Forest Service has had 45-day comment period. That's what they chose to do on that. But as far as I read fact sheets and things out there, that you can extend on this. I think there's a couple rather immediate needs that we can jump into and get going right away. By the time February comes around and when we have to give the reporting to the federal government of how these funds have been spent, we'll have that all down in the format that they want, the methodology they want. I'm hoping that we can, spend a block of time and get some things done, but then, dear federal government, this is the way we're doing it. Are we going to meet with your satisfaction on how these can do it? And that's good, because now we have a contact person. Before, when I made some calls and looked into this, we were always talking to somebody in Washington, D.C. And the big disadvantage is that the same person never worked long enough to talk to him twice, and you never got the same answer twice. So having somebody in Missoula should be able to.
So how do you foresee it, like once a project coordinator is on board, he would have like a list of contractors, so if Bob Smith called up and said, hey, I've got 2 acres around my house and my garage. I'd like to have it cleaned out, then this project coordinator would go and look on the list of contractors, or how is it gonna work?
That would generally be, is that we would just develop that list of people that would do that work and complete it from beginning to end. That we're gonna do the identification, agree with the landowner what's going to be done out there, and take out whatever you're taking out, but how it's going to be disposed of. How those places are going to be cleaned up after the fact. Hopefully that's going to be the methodology to get this done.
Question or comment?
Yeah.
Just listening to Mr. Reed talk about all the things that need to be purchased for this position. I used Montana Cadastral for almost 40 projects. I didn't need any special equipment for that. So I think that that could be money that maybe could go to our landowners to kind of boost the economy. And so, I'm just saying, I did this all with one program that's free online. So.
I wouldn't have resounded that, appreciate you putting all this together, Tim, but a lot of the stuff I'm hearing here are costs, that are gonna deplete the funds quickly. Our thoughts are, at least my thought, is it needs to be projects on the ground, getting work done and providing deployment.
I sat in a meeting there, Tim. It was you and me and Carol and Jerry Drury and Jim from the Forest Service was there also. And what we heard there at the meeting was that the county hasn't been able to utilize the funds because they're so restrictive. There were some projects done, I think, early on, and. But what we found is it's an easy program to use. The funds, there is a restriction, there's certainly some restrictions like there is with any program, but as long as you stay within the boundaries, it is easy to use these funds. Easy to put programs together. We've spent a lot of time talking with Jerry Drury, and he's been very, very helpful. We visited 2 or 3 other counties that use the funds and learned from them how they put the program together and how they make their funds work. And so Stacy did put together 40 projects here in basically a month and a half since we met before, something like that. And again, pretty easy to use. And really, the community has really been receptive. They're anxious to get going on these projects and do these improvements, so.
Money-wise, how much would the coordinator need for his money? So that is, I agree with him.
Well, we've certainly talked. There's counties out there that do so much per project. It has to be a successful project, and then the coordinator gets an amount for that project. Or I think there's others out there that pay a salary.
There's a county forester that's up there in Libby. They actually have a county forester that the Title III funds pay for his salary, and he gets $30,000 a year. Sanders County does it differently. They do $100 a project, completed project that meets the fireway standards, and there's checklists and certifications at the end of the project that have to be done, and of course record keeping all the way through. So it just varies by county, but
Sad part about it, Roman, I know they want to make sure that all this is perfectly written up when they get it going so that they don't have to worry about being audited down the road. But we got people out living in our communities right now. They've lost their insurance on their homes. They don't have no insurance. We're going through fire season without the insurance, and we're just sitting there on this money, and these people are sitting there, starving to death.
The thing is, it's not a question of if we'll be audited. We will be.
Yeah.
They audit it all the time.
You've been dinged many
It's-
times.
That's what's been so,
Worried about it.
yeah. Even with the old mine, there was questions and, there was comments on the audits, and I have the old audits at home if anybody ever wants to look at them, that they will audit it. And, our new set of auditors seems to have a little different ideas than what I had.
I can't believe that.
Now, why does it take the 45 days?
That's in the regulations now.
That's done though, aren't we, with that now?
Today is
Today ends
today.
that
Oh, good.
45-day period, so,
Good.
yeah.
So the hopes were, like we said, Stacy's done 40 projects with multiple folks that are in the room, was we kick it off today. We get rolling. We get projects moving and get things happening on the ground.
I have a question. Okay, say you go in and clear somebody's property. So, say the sale of those logs, does that come off of the total expenditure? Say it costs, I don't know, $5,000 to clear somebody's property. I mean, that's what the loggers cost. Okay, the sale of those logs then, who profits from the sale of the logs?
Your landowners. They have, the only part that your landowner's responsible for on a sound Firewise program or project to 200 feet, all of the groundwork is covered. According to Tim, 100% is what Tim said that the county would reimburse for the work done. That's brushing. A lot of people have a lot of that snowberry or red, I think it's called red bark or something like that. What?
9 bark?
Yeah, 9 bark. And so it removes all of that, thinning, removal of trees. The only part that the landowner would be responsible for is because they don't have to sell the merchantable logs. They can keep them. But if they choose to sell them, then they have to get an HRA through the state. And then they have to pay for the hauling. That's not covered. So,
So if somebody had land and it netted them $5,000 in stumpage, then they would just deduct the trucking from that.
yes. So you can, with the market right now, we don't know where the market's going. We have a lot of pine that people haven't been able to get rid of because it's a loser for them. But right now, there's a chance for some of these landowners to put a little bit of cash in their pocket and stimulate our economy in Mineral County. So now is the time before we have a crash in the market again where maybe it's going to end up costing them money.
And to get the needed work done, the needed work around the project. I mean, that's the real driver. There's work that needs to be done around these houses, and they've been identified. Now it's just a matter of doing the work. If there is, and I don't know, there's quite a few projects, there's no timber in it. It's just clearing. It's pruning, it's pulling out non-merchantable product. And so there is no merchantable product. There's no revenue off of that. So it's about getting the work done on the ground, and that's the whole driver of the Title III program, is making these places safe.
I'm a widow now, and I can't do nothing around the house, but they took my insurance. I had 2 trees fall on the house. And so I can't get insurance until all the trees around the house are taken down. Well, I can afford that. So here I am for the last 2 years without any insurance. So as soon as we can get it going, the better it would be for me.
Kevin, there's no reason this can't start today, is there?
It's up to the commissioners.
Right, but I mean, as far as the program, what we understand the program is, we could hand you guys 40 projects today, you can look at them, sign off on them, we can get them done on the ground, get them approved, and we can move forward. That's our understanding. Now, is that?
Hand off to, you said hand off the projects?
Yeah, we can give them the projects. She's got them all wrote up now. All we have to do, and our understanding is now we can take those to the commissioners, they can sign it, and we can move ahead with the project.
They chose to do that.
So, is the project coordinator in the rules and regulations, is that required before any projects are accepted? And what, I mean, if we took Willie's advice, suggestion, then we just hand it off to the project coordinator once he's hired, or?
Well, I don't think that it necessarily calls out a project coordinator, but you're gonna have to have the reporting methodology and how that's gonna get into order. Just having a staff of completed projects is not gonna get you a report to the government.
But if they had if they were brought to the commissioners, some were approved or signed off on now, in the meantime, we get a coordinator. I mean, a coordinator, we have to get a coordinator. There's nobody here in the county who can take this on. We just can't. And this is a lot of work. And we have to make sure that we're reporting correctly, we're inspecting correctly, because this is like a reimbursement program. You know, if we do it, if it's done incorrectly, landowners could be on the hook. And we don't want to see that happen. Or the county, because.
I don't think the landowner is on the hook of the county commissioner.
Right, well.
We're the ones who sign.
Right, but if we can't, if it's not done correctly, or we didn't have somebody come out and inspect it. So we need a program coordinator. So I guess the point is with the commissioner's approval, can projects be approved today once the resolution is signed? If the resolution is signed, programs to move forward, and once the program coordinator is hired, that position then has to follow up, make sure everything is done correctly. Is that kind of what you're asking?
Yes, and certainly on these projects, could act as a program coordinator. I mean, we have the expertise we're looking for to make sure the stuff gets done properly on the ground. And there's more to it, I guess, than that. I don't know if this is the appropriate time to talk about it, but we would be willing to do that. And there would be a cost for us as well. And our intent here would be not to profit by the program, but to get some money out of the program that we would put in a separate account, if you will. Tricon would monitor those funds and utilize them. Our thought here is that we would utilize them for like additional money for Farm Bill projects or that kind of thing. If we took an income from this, then we would put it into an account that we put back into some other program that would continue to stimulate growth in the economy and in the community here. So.
And I'm Ellen Donahue, I'm the county attorney, just in case anybody's wondering, why is she sitting up there and what is she talking about? That makes me a little nervous coming from the county perspective with this. I think right now the decision of whether or not to approve projects before we have a project coordinator is up to the commission. But we do need a project coordinator because I think we need one person who's basically the clearinghouse. Everything goes into him or her. She or he makes sure everything is done and every property is done exactly the same. We need uniformity. And then this one person is responsible to report to the federal government, do the quarterly reporting, do the annual reporting, make sure the money goes through. But I think the issue is today, a couple issues is, does the commission feel that they're ready to proceed with this resolution, which we need the resolution signed today to get this rolling. Then the commission needs to make a second decision on whether or not they're going to approve projects now without a project coordinator, but with the caveat that when this person is hired, he or she takes over the inspecting, the education portion, making sure everything's done correctly. So then that way there's no lag time.
County funds sort of being a county agent for dispersal and approval. Denley?
Yeah, I got a thought on this. We've got a lot of heat that's been around the last couple weeks, and things are drying out. We're gonna have fire season upon us. The coordinator's gonna take a month or so to get in place. And the use, kind of like Willie's saying, possibly you have the authority, then you could put a temporary coordinator right now to work, maybe Stacy or somebody from Tricon, get things going, as long as one of you is willing to do a little overview, on it. You get things going, get the coordinator in place, and then have that coordinator come on whenever you get it hired. But I think, if you, with the authority, you could do a temporary coordinator to get things rolling, because of the fire season's on us.
I think that's a good idea.
And we only have 3 months for the funds to be obligated, so, we do have that time.
Speaker?
Yeah, I think Denley's idea there is excellent. If Tricon's willing to have a person help us with that along the way and then do a position according to the Superior Rural Schools.
Yeah, we'd really like to see things get going, and, we've put quite a bit of time in it now, and we've got a lot of people, kind of the momentum is rolling. We'd like to make sure that we maintain that momentum.
Yes.
And 40
Yeah.
projects is gonna get some things happening, so.
Yeah, I agree. I think we need to get things going, but I want to make sure that we're
Doing it right.
doing it right,
Yeah.
because ultimately we're the ones that's responsible, and
What do you
we're
think
the
of
ones that get
Jim?
written up, so.
Well, I guess I was suggesting to you that there's a check and balance, and if the people that are gonna do the work and gonna set the price, are gonna oversee the project, there's not a lot of check and balance
I have a comment on that. Tricon's not setting the cost on anything, that's a contractor. All of these are private contractors, that we have the goat and tree removal, so they bring a cost to it. It's not Tricon dictating any kind of cost. There's also Brand X out of St. Regis, so we're not dictating costs. We're not saying it's gonna cost this much, you have to, it's the contractors coming in with a reasonable estimate that, again, you guys would look at and go, this seems a little high, let's go back to the contractor, see if they'll bring that down to maybe, a little less. But you have to consider a lot of these areas, it's right around your structures, so there's a higher risk, there's a higher cost. So that would be, if you looked at it and reviewed it and things seemed out of sorts, that's when you just go back to your contractor and you say, sharpen your pencil, this is gonna have to, you gotta adjust it here or there. But it's not, Tricon's not doing that. Just so we are clear, we're not. It's just like, I'm the coordinator right now. I'm not saying I'm the coordinator, I'm just saying I've kind of played that role where I do a pre-inspection of the property, just like anybody else would, to make sure that it falls within the Firewise guidelines. Because a lot of people, they want to go further. Well, you can't go further. It has to be within this boundary right here. Otherwise you put the county at risk for an audit. We don't want that. Then we put the program together with a contractor right there, going through the costs, how much they think it's going to cost to do the brushing and the thinning and all of that. And then you have a certification paper that has to be completed at the end with another inspection, meeting those Firewise guidelines. It has to meet those Firewise guidelines, or you put the county at risk. And we don't want that. We don't want the program to fail. So,
And
it's not,
that's where the program coordinator then comes in and does the inspection on
right, which
behalf of
is
the county.
what kind of I've been doing, but, and it doesn't have to be just me. It can be, what we're saying is Tricon's willing, I think people are kind of getting like, well, Tricon wants to control the whole program. That's not what we're trying to do. All we're trying to do is get this program going, do it right. Just like Angela said, some of these projects don't have trees. So it's not like we're biased and we're only going after merchantable properties. That's not what we're doing here. We just want this program to go forward. Landowners want this program to go forward today and start these projects within your guidelines, making sure that we are not putting the county at risk. So just, I don't want I don't want people to think Tricon's trying to control this, because that's not what they're trying, that's not what we're trying to do. You know,
So, you say you've got about 40 projects already. I wonder if maybe you could prioritize, I don't know, top 10 or something, and then maybe next week, you know, I could go out with Stacy and inspect them and review them, and then, you know, see the cost, and then at least maybe sign off on 10 to get them kind of going, and then when the project coordinator is hired, then the rest can be handed off at that time or something like that. Yeah. So I can come down next Monday and Thursday. I don't know how far or wide these places are, but I mean,
Far one,
pretty much all over, yeah.
okay,
just from Alberton to Salty.
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know, I mean, it's 10,
Yeah, I can-
it's 10 a good number to kind of keep you busy until our coordinator comes on board.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, I don't know if I'm high or low with that estimate.
Can I speak real quick? I just want to put this out there. You know, it was a couple months ago that we'd been talking to folks in the county and commissioners, and the discussion was on this Title III and this money's going to go away. And that it was constraining and we couldn't use it. This is the only reason Tricon got involved with this. We wanted to make the program work, we understand it. So Stacy was the person that got involved with it. And right now, she's the most educated person you have in the county on Firewise, without a doubt. So it wasn't that we wanted to get involved, we just wanted to see these funds used for what they're supposed to be used for.
And we appreciate that.
Yeah, that's been the problem with it.
Thank you, Stacy, too.
The reason why it hasn't really been spent is kind of the publicity hasn't really been out there. You know, you can run an ad, and people understand it, and they just think maybe it's pulling some, you know. But yeah, with Stacy kind of putting it out there, I think the contractors are getting more involved, the landowners are getting a better understood program. We can probably spend it. So yeah, that's good.
So on these projects then, have you, because there's more than one contractor in the county, there's numerous. So does each contractor then go and look at this project and then give you a bid on that project? Or do you just handpick, okay, I want you to do this one, you to do this one, you to do this one?
How it's worked so far right now is that the Godins have been, I mean, bulldogs out there, they're going out, they're talking to landowners. If a contractor approached myself, or the landowner has a choice, they can choose their contractor. They can do the work themselves. If they have somebody in mind to do the work, that's who gets the option to do the work, unless the costs are out of line. Then you go back to the contractor of choice that the landowner chooses, and you say, you know, this cost is kind of high. Can you adjust that at all? If they're not willing to, then you kind of move on to, you would have to move on to the next contractor and see if their cost would be more in line with what, you know, with what is acceptable, you know?
Well, I think several of these projects have been brought to you by contractors, right?
Yes.
So, you know, it's only reasonable that they should get the project, or at least be considered as a priority for the project. And, you know, so if, and they bring them to Stacy because she's, knows the program, knows how to make it work, and knows how to write it up. And so, you know, if they do that and then we go solicit somebody else rather than them, I don't think that's very fair either. You know, the fact of it is, they could write the thing up themselves and bring it to you for approval.
Well, and if the contractor has been out there and brings it to Stacy, to my way of thinking, that's the homeowner's choice. I mean,
Yes,
they've
exactly.
chosen, so
Right.
we want to make sure that it's, and it sounds like everybody's on board, that it's the homeowner gets to choose.
Yes.
And like Stacy said, a homeowner can do it. If they choose to do this work themselves, that you go through the same process of the inspection and getting paid, but you get to choose as the homeowner who you want to do the work if it's in line with the costs. So, yeah, that makes sense.
Well, it sounds to me like Stacy has the requirements to be a coordinator. What would you be looking for out of the county for a coordinator?
Yeah, and with the county hire, we have to put out a job description. There's a process to hiring an employee. But doesn't mean that a could be expedited, you know, we do have to run an ad, we have to put it out, and then interview and get somebody hired.
I would have one suggestion on that. The way Sanders County does it, to me, seems like the right way to do it.
Per project.
Yeah, I do. It's kind of a JIPO wage, and you get rewarded for the projects you put together that are successful. I think that makes better sense than a salary or something like that, just a fixed cost.
Yeah, you really don't know what you're getting into there.
A little more motivational for something.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, sometimes if you do an hourly or a salary position, people tend to get less gung-ho about, you know, if my mortgage is resting on me getting out there and finding 7 projects, well, I'm gonna go find 7 projects.
But we also have an education piece we have to consider. You know, we're gonna be asking this coordinator to go to the fair, go out, and those are times when they're not gonna be technically making any money, so just, we'll have to keep that in mind.
I'll still go back to, that's how they're gonna drum up business.
Yeah.
That's how they're gonna
Yeah.
get the project. They're
Get
gonna-
another $100.
Right. You know, it's part of the sale.
Yes, Mr. Fowler?
As a contractor, you'll run into landowners that want ridiculous amounts of work done for the cost of little to nothing. And it creates a real problem. We did a project for one of the richest men in the world down in the Bitterroot. And by the time we were done, we were digging the stumps, sawing them off below ground, covering them with dirt. Byron Barney was in charge of the project at the time. It was only 13 acres. The total cost on that project was $79,000 by the hour for 5 guys working. The project was for the Double Fork Ranch, Tony and Anthony Mornell. And Byron paid basically $1,000 an acre. He paid $13,000, and Mornell picked up the rest. But there was no problem with us getting paid. But you'll run into landowners that just absolutely drive you nuts. And as far as fire-wise, you'll run into a lot of landowners that want nothing but a landscaping project done, beautification. And it makes it awful tough on the contractor
That's where probably our
come in and
review
do
and
that.
approval would come in, because
And go right back to the strict guidelines of this. We
Yeah, we'd have to
can't
deny
manicure your whole
something.
lawn, we can only go 200 feet from the primary residence.
You can't,
And, you
you
know.
can't do every project the same around a household.
Right. But
You
then
know.
that's also something where contractors say, you know, I'm not gonna, this is my bid, we've approved it, and there's gonna be a reimbursement for this, but if you want all this other stuff, that's not part of this Firewise project, so we're gonna step away from it.
Which we ran into with the project. It's the same person that's doing the Firewise around the structure is also logging. And I was very clear, it's a separate contract. Outside the 200 feet, you have to write a separate contract. It's not part of this. It has to be very, very separate. So,
Right, and that's a good way to put it. I mean, if you want me to do your landscaping, okay, but for this project, these are the guidelines.
yeah.
Yeah, because that could, I'd want you to come and do our property.
Underground fire suppression systems, sprinklers, right?
So I think the big issue is whether or not the commission is ready to approve this resolution, and we would like it approved today. And it's as Tim kind of outlined it, and if anybody wants to look at it.
well, yeah, do we have a number for it, Casey?
Should be 06-30-2017, right?
Yep.
So it's basically today's date, resolution number 06-30-2017. A resolution implementing the Secure Rural Schools Title III Firewise Communities Program standards and obligating Title III funds in accordance with Public Law 110-343 and Public Law 112-141. Whereas Mineral County has a high priority to provide incentives to landowners to learn and apply Firewise community standards to allow for defensible space in the event of fires. Whereas Mineral County has published a 45-day notice for the implementation of the Secure Rural Schools Title III program, which sets forth the expenditure of funding. Whereas the Mineral County Commissioners recognize the high priority for updating the Mineral County Community Wildfire Protection Plan, which is the basis of implementation. Whereas Mineral County's growth policy for Mineral County and the town of Alberton and Superior 2016 identifies the action of, quote, work with the Lolo National Forest, the Montana Department of Natural Resources and Conservation, private foresters, and landowners to implement fuels reduction and defensible space programs on public and private lands in the wildland urban interface. And whereas Mineral County's growth policy for the Mineral County and towns of Alberton and Superior identified 537 private parcels with structures within the wildland urban interface that could potentially benefit from education and fuel reduction projects. Now therefore be it, one, resolved that Mineral County implement, monitor, and file required reports to meet the criteria of the Secure Rural Schools Title III program, and be it, number 2, further resolved that Mineral County obligates the expenditure of $350,000 for the Secure Rural Schools Title III program. That is the resolution. Is there a motion?
I make a motion that we approve resolution 06-30-2017.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion or questions before a vote is
I
called?
have one question. Can you go back down? It says 537 houses have been identified.
Parcels? Yeah.
Is that the only, is this saying that that's the only houses that these projects can be used for?
No,
That's not what that's, okay.
No.
Sorry, I just
no, that's okay.
wanted to make sure.
That was just kind of for illustrative purposes?
Yes, those that have been identified, but there's a huge need.
Okay, thank you. Sorry.
That's okay.
Any further questions?
I have one quick question. You brought up the fire, or the county wildfire protection policy that's already in place. Why is it deficient? The only reason I ask, I sat on the board to put that together the last time, and there's a few folks that I know that were on the board, and I'm hoping we're not taking dollars out of this to pay to revise the plan, because I see that as a big waste of money.
I think a revision is necessary. I mean, that was 2005.
Right.
So we just want to at least review it. If it ends up that it's, like you said, 12 years later, it's still appropriate,
Right.
fine. But if it's in 12 years, if things have changed, I think 12 years is a long time to, things have changed. 12 years, I've changed. You should have seen me 12 years ago. I was a stunner. I really was.
I know, you're from here too.
So yes, so 12 years, I think it's important that we go over it. And like you said, if it ends up being the same that we need in 2017 and going forward as it was in 2005, then we let sleeping dogs lie. If we need to update it, let's update it.
But we're not talking about using funds out of this to do that, are we?
Yes, it is part of this.
Oh.
So we're gonna use funds for that?
Right, yeah, if there ends up having to be a committee to update this plan, that's what these funds are for.
I disagree with that. We didn't do it with any funding last time. It was volunteer, and we got the project done. I just hate to see this money spent on stuff other than getting work done on the ground, personally.
A lot of the other counties utilize Title III funds for the CWPP, and it cost a lot of counties over $200,000. That's almost all of your funds.
Right.
That's the concern.
And do you know, were they starting that off, was that the first time or were they updating?
Just updating.
Just updating, wow.
So just understand there's, I'm sure that the landowners around here would be pretty upset if half of the Title III funds were spent on a plan instead of helping them reduce fuels and helping them get insurance and possibly lowering insurance and, that's just what I've seen in the stuff that I've read.
Can I make a suggestion? Again, you're in discussion phase. I would pull that paragraph out of there. I would handle that wildfire protection plan separately in a different meeting with a different group. I just don't think it fits into what let's try and get done here.
Did you write that line, Tim? Did you comment on that insertion?
I think that line gives you one of the best compliances with the overall Title III project. It's very specific, it says it should be there, it should be done. I don't think that's gonna take a significant amount of funding to do that. I think
How much do you think?
we're in a range of, $9,000, $10,000, $12,000.
Could we,
Then I think you should write that amount in there,
yeah, I
and
was
it
gonna
can't
say, could we
exceed
put a
that.
limit on it then?
The commissioners don't have to accept anything that comes in as
I
proposal.
think if you put that in the proposal, you need to have specific dollars associated with it. That's what everybody else does. So if you think it's $12,000, that's what it should say right there. No more than
You
$12,000
don't wanna limit
will be
yourself that
spent.
way.
Well, it says in your request for proposal, it says the budget is negotiable, so.
Yeah. We're gonna- If it gets out of bounds or something.
And that certainly wouldn't be for spending $200,000, is it?
No.
Again, my concern is, we deal with Forest Service, we see plans, we see NEPA documents, we see millions of dollars spent frivolously, not getting worked out on the ground. That's the concern. Personally, I think it should be a separate item, taken out of the resolution.
Being as how this is just for this project, for what we're doing here, it really shouldn't be in there.
Be a separate proposal, it'd be a proposal.
Yeah.
Just like the 40 that are ready.
What do you see, Tim, happening when the Mineral County Community Wildfire Protection Plan is updated? I mean, what is that really gonna involve?
Input that I received is that it's gonna be one of the most important documents that the Forest Service can use. It's gonna, probably what we would spend on that is gonna return a lot of dollars if we have that kind of update.
What does the Forest Service use that for?
Huh?
What does the Forest Service use that document for?
They can take that document and say, this is where we want to concentrate our funding. We want to go out to that urban interface and concentrate it right there and spend the money at that urban interface. The landowners are doing something, they have a plan, and now therefore we can plan and try to match that up. That's what I heard repeatedly from the Forest Service.
My only concern is we've already got one in place, and how often are they using that one to drive their projects now? There's already one in place. Again, not worth fighting over. I just think the money should be spent on the ground, personally.
I think we all agree with
Projects on the
that.
ground.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure we're doing everything
Yeah.
like we're supposed to.
But now that you brought that to our attention, we'll have to make sure that we commissioners are vigilant about making sure that that money doesn't exceed anything unreasonable for meeting the requirements and making sure that most of this money does go to work on the ground. Commissioner Simons has a motion on the table. Any changes or amendments to that motion, Mr. Simons?
I don't see anything wrong with leaving that paragraph in as long as we monitor the dollar amount that is gonna be spent on. I think like Ellen said, things change in 12 years. We need to look at it. It's probably something that the Forest Service should be in on and working on themselves, but apparently they're not, so maybe the county will help them on their way.
Sitting on a plotter up there.
I don't want to.
Okay. All right, so motion by Commissioner Simons to adopt this resolution, seconded by Commissioner Johnston. Oh, one more discussion, Mrs. Young?
It might be a small point, but I noticed the town of St. Regis isn't mentioned in
Because
there.
they're not an incorporated city.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, yeah.
okay,
And
thanks.
the incorporated cities have their own,
Get organized and get incorporated out.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Probably not in his lifetime.
Okay. Any further discussion before a vote is called? All right. The motion is on the table and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Being none, the resolution is implemented today.
So just one clarification, you want that as a select date?
Yes, please.
Oh, and then the second part, I think it's important for the commission to decide on whether or not to go forward with the project.
So, yeah. So do we need a motion for this advertisement to be?
No.
Okay.
I mean, you said everything.
Yeah, it's all
So-
good, yeah.
How about,
Position, we don't need
so,
a motion.
and then, yeah, in lieu of not having a coordinator at this time, is my idea to maybe meet with Stacy and get at least 10 projects going? Is that worth a motion and implementing today, or do you guys want to hold off?
Yeah, I think we need to move on it. Fire season's here.
Right, so in lieu of having a project coordinator for at least maybe 3 weeks, maybe,
So are you gonna do the reporting then on these projects? Do everything that's required?
I'll go with her next week and look at the proposal you've got written up and then see the property and then at least sign off on up to 10 so something can start and then we'll hand off those packets once a coordinator is hired.
Tim, so is there actually two positions, one for the proposal to update the,
Typically, it's just a consultant or consultant.
so that there will be two ads?
Yeah, I put 2 pages up there, but I haven't, basically finished that yesterday, but I'll get you some ideas about, cost realm and things.
I don't want to take that much time, that's gonna be a public process, so that's how it was last time where
Yeah.
everybody comes in and puts in their.
Yeah, I thought there was a signature page to this, but I don't know if the commissioner did do you know if they did a resolution to adopt this?
That's been a few years ago.
That's all we
Okay. All right, well, appreciate the strong outcome.
Oh, did you
Everybody-
guys
You
vote on
have to
that?
sign it.
My idea for, okay.
Yeah, it's coming.
I'll
Okay.
move that, one of the commissioners or I will go out and at least implement with Stacy Neal 10 projects to get work as soon as possible and then hand those off to the coordinator once he is hired.
So they'll be filling out this.
Yes, you've got them.
Ready to go.
That's coordination.
I mean, this is the one that went through Ellen, right? You approved
Yes.
that?
Yep.
Form.
Yep,
Mhm.
and she was, yeah, had it all done.
So I'll just go meet with Stacy and go to those properties and look at that form and look at the properties and then the cost, we'll review the costs and then sign off on stuff. So that's my motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor? Oh, any further discussion? Tim, is this a bad idea?
No.
Okay. Anybody else think it's a bad idea before we call a vote? Okay. Okay, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye? Okay.
Roman, then that'll change the date of when the coordinator deadline will be for putting in then? Could you have July 15th up there for the coordinator? It's not up on that board right now, but
Oh.
how it was. So is that gonna change
You know,
that?
we could do that initial, we should just alter that initial screening may happen by July 15th, just to try to encourage him to get it in. but
Okay,
Not put that that's the end date, if you don't get it in by that date.
right.
So you just revert that a little bit, so that initial screen.
Finley?
Yeah, I think you better probably work out that detail on whether you're gonna go JIPO commission or you're gonna go by, set that guideline up right in your ad so people know. That may affect
All for
their
the
advertising.
For the advertisement.
Yeah, that'd be right.
Stacy?
Would I be qualified to apply for that position, or would it be a conflict of interest
Yeah,
with my
is there anything
position
written
at
in there
Tricon?
on a private person for a sawmill is prohibited from being a county coordinator?
I'd hate to say, give you a little bit of time, but I would like to just check into it.
So you can go ahead and put in for it and we'll find out.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I would encourage you to.
Any, yeah, Angela?
No,
Oh,
No.
did you want to put in for it?
no, thank you for moving it forward. I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Jessica said if we had questions, give her a few minutes. She was talking with Emily, and we could call her.
Okay. We just, yeah, Mr. Steele, we were wanting some clarification on what CDBG grants we may already have in the hopper. And
Right.
we weren't sure.
And this looks like a facilities grant to me.
That's what I thought.
And so, the way it's written, you can do one grant for each of the two that's available, but one for housing rehabilitation and one's facilities. So if that's the facilities, then what I'll ask is that for next year, that we get on the list to be partner. Except that you can only do one grant within 4 years in the same category. So it may be added up altogether.
Yeah, because we already put in for one with fair, didn't we? Isn't that a facilities one?
Was that the one that got denied?
That got
Oh,
denied, but
yeah.
I mean, if you can only put it, would you say you can only put in?
And maybe go back here and look at the wording of whether that is a funded grant.
You make you the garbage girl. Or a grant, whether you get it, you only get one for every 4 years. I think you can put in.
Yeah, then you can only get one.
Oh, I
for 4
see.
years.
And then we can get Emily on the phone. She's kind of taking over for Kevin running the CDBG, so maybe she'll be able to provide some answers.
Yeah.
Dial her up.
Yeah, if you think she's off the phone with Jessica.
You're gonna have to do it.
I'm gonna do
Dial
it.
out.
You know how to?
No.
What's Emily's?
3545.
I have a flip phone.
You press 2, that's it.
Ray Golden has a flip phone also. So does Clark Conroe. That's 3 of us in Mineral County.
I think Steve's is still a flip phone too.
Good man. Good man.
Hey,
That's why he uses my phone.
and I don't carry it either.
I do.
And Mr. Extension, Dave.
Hey Dave, this is Roman over here with the commissioners, and we have Mr. Steele from St. Regis with a CDBG question. I didn't know if Emily was available.
She is. She was talking to Jessica, so you're, it's probably the same thing that she was talking to Jessica about. So I don't have to go with her.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
This is Emily.
Hello, Miss Emily. Roman, Dwayne, and Lori here.
Hi, how are you?
We've got from St. Regis Schools, Mr. Joe Steele, and he's got a CDBG idea, and so we thought we'd get you on the phone because we're trying to remember how many we're allowed to have in the hopper, approved versus just submitted, et cetera, so.
Okay, does he have an idea, are they going for a public facilities grant?
Yes.
Okay, so we can do both, the Superior Meats and that one, because the Superior Meats is actually an economic development grant.
Oh.
Okay.
So as long as they fall under different categories, then we can submit as many as categories as there is.
And you haven't had another facilities grant within the last 4 years then?
No.
Good. Well then,
In our fair, the idea for the fair, that doesn't, even though it wasn't accepted, that doesn't count as a submittal?
I don't think unless it was approved,
That was always my understanding of it, is if you were awarded one, you
Oh,
couldn't
okay.
put in
So
for
the
another
one-
one for 4
okay.
years. Because that's why the pair had to wait
Oh,
as long as they did. Because we had been awarded the senior citizens one down there.
okay. Okay, so as far as you know, then we can entertain the presentation today.
As far as I know, yes.
Okay, all right. Do you want to stay on the line, or you want to go back to what you're doing?
I'll go ahead and go back to what I'm doing.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Well then, so what St. Regis would like to do is partner with the county, and actually the grant's got to come from the county in partnership with us. We just submitted on behalf of a nonprofit, which would be the St. Regis School District. We need a new roof, and I do have a CTE, the engineering's coming out to do a forensic study on their roof. I've got 2 different proposals, companies that come in and said, yep, you need a new roof, but we want a neutral party to make sure that, because of the cost, that we indeed need a new roof, or if there's some other options available that would be less expensive. With changes in the law this year, we can do a permissive levy and charge the taxpayers, but at the most we can get a year is $45,500. And at that rate, it would take us 12 years to get enough money to meet either one of these bids without going out for a loan, which is another option that the board could look at, our board could look at.
What's the total estimate on the roof?
I had one estimate come in at $650,000 and one at $550,000.
You're talking the whole school, the new part, the old part?
So what I've asked them to do is to go back and break that up into sections, and then we can look at each section individually and maybe even address the issue that way and target priority areas. And so I'm kind of waiting to hear what CTA does when they come in and do their evaluation. We know we've got some leakage. In the one section, the elementary section, the leakage was quite extensive and for many years. We also know that we have let some of our maintenance agreements lapse. And when they came through and did the inspections, both the companies said there are some things up there that we could do, replace the screws on our roof, those kind of things. And so we're entering into a maintenance agreement so we can have those things done. Our maintenance guy's been up there and done some things as well. So right now, the leaks have stopped, but the weather is also cleared and the ice is no longer there. And that seems to be the biggest problem, the ice building up. So if we need to get a whole roof replacement, we simply can't afford it without waiting a long period of time to gather, save that money up. So I started looking for grants and found the community development grant. We can get up to $450,000. The board, we can go in and get the other amount to cover that, either through a small loan or through the permissive levy, and so we can make annual payments to pay that off for our share of it. So what we're asking the county to do is partner with us to submit a facilities grant so we can replace or at least do something with our roof so that we can prevent the leakage and maintain the building, because we know we're not going to be able to afford a new building anytime soon either. So we've got to maintain the structures that we do have currently.
So who will administer this grant?
It would run through our business office, Tina Hill.
And what is there a cost to the county?
Not that I'm aware of. We would enter into any, for our portion of the grant, we would enter any loans needed to cover our costs. Our taxpayer base just can't afford to.
So are you suggesting that the grant be for the entire amount, or are you gonna do permissive levy for 45.5 and then have to balance?
We will end up having to do a permissive levy for our portion of it. And how much we actually go for, I'm hoping CTA can get out within the next couple of weeks to take a look at it and give us some results. We do know that under couple of older sections, there's some asbestos. My understanding is we don't need to remove that roof. As long as don't have any more than 2 layers of roofing on there at a time, they should be able to go right over the top of it. And as long as we don't pull that roof off, we don't have to do any asbestos abatement. So it's a matter now, just figuring out how much moisture might be trapped underneath, and if there's any mold and that kind of stuff. And that's why CTA is coming out. They'll give us a better idea. And there might be some, I talked with another company, I was at a facilities conference, and Sure and Williams, the paint company, also does roofs. And they've got a liquid method that might be much cheaper. And so they will be coming out doing an inspection as well and giving us a cost estimate. So the amount we actually request might be much cheaper than what.
Oh yeah, 'cause if you've got a metal roof, I think that stuff does kind of paint on there.
Yep.
Some of it's on 20-year warranties on some of them.
And if you wash it, they can resurface it and renew the warranty.
Mm-hmm.
So is there a metal roof on there now?
In most sections, there's a metal roof, yes. Some of it is flat, some of it is rolled. So all that would have to be, what the other 2 companies want to do is come in and level it all off, put a better slope on it, and then put this membrane stuff on it.
And that, the leakage part that you were talking about, that's on the new portion of the school?
Part of it is on the elementary, which is the newer portion, and it's right above the, whatever that sunroof thing is that sticks up. But we also have some over the gym as well. At one point, we had 9 buckets lined up in the gym.
Wow.
Yeah. Which makes it dangerous.
How old is that new portion?
That was built in 69, no, 94.
94.
Yeah.
We got one section built in the 30s, one in 69, and one in 94.
I know I always thought that roof was too flat when they built it. We found that out in winter '96 also.
Yeah.
I can't remember, is there any contribution or match required from the county?
No, I don't think from the county there is, but they probably would have.
We would do that.
Do we have any other ideas coming down the pipe for facilities that you've heard? Anybody else want to?
Haven't heard anything else.
Other than I know Superior Schools is gonna be looking at doing something, but I don't know. I haven't heard any more, so.
You're still on the school board, I presume? What's your pitch today? We'd like to hear you.
Well, I'm here to support Joe because we really need to address these leaks. And it just creates more problems for the kids with mold issues and whatever. And they never get better.
No.
So we have to address them. And this is, I think, the best way for the taxpayers for us to do it this route. And then, depending on what we need, to supplement, we can match with our restitution funds, and we can levy as little as possible. That's what we're trying to do.
Yes, this winter has been particularly rough for us. We had a boiler go out, we had our vaporizer go out, and so we've got some expenditures to address some facilities things as it is. The roof is just another one part of that as well. So we can't do everything at once, so we really got to manage and look at other options to fund.
Okay, so let's say if they're awarded this grant, it'll be 4 years before we can put in for anything else, is that right?
I believe so.
So,
Because it applies.
If we're successful.
huh? Right, that's what I'm saying. So, say if that puts off fairgrounds for 4 years.
Hey, Tim, you recollect, we're here deciding a CDBG grant for facilities. Are there, and if we, St. Regis School would like to have help with a roofing project. And so, of course, if it's awarded, then we're kind of unable to apply for 4 more years for facilities CDBG. So we're trying to decide if there's other things coming down the pipe that.
Why would it be the full year?
If it's awarded, I think, like the senior
I don't
citizen.
know, that's what I'm asking. Is it-
I don't know, it would be a 2-year cycle. I mean, they'd finish it off. They would, as soon as the project finishes off, you could be eligible to apply for another one in the right cycle.
They told him 4 years, didn't they?
And the way that it's written on there is that it's 4 years, or even 5 years.
But isn't that by category?
This facilities versus economic development.
Right,
Yeah.
if the other one is in economic development.
Right.
Right,
Then
but,
you'd still be open.
but like I'm saying is the fairgrounds would be a facilities one, wouldn't it? Isn't that what, when we applied to the
Right.
fairgrounds?
That 4-H building.
4-H building.
But what happened with the facility grant for the Highway 135 project?
That was a planning.
That's not, I don't think they consider that a facilities building. I think they considered it what,
Is that not true?
Oh, okay, so if this is a facilities, what's going on with the fairgrounds is different. That's a different pot of money then. That was a planning grant over there, so this.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
That's right, it was a planning grant.
That's right.
Yeah.
I gotta get up to
Okay,
speed.
well, okay, I just want to make sure that, say if we, they got awarded, that wouldn't jeopardize, you know, us applying for something for the 4-H building in the future.
No, they're doing a facility, we've been doing planning.
Okay.
Yeah, and you can apply for both of them.
okay.
You just can't apply, have
Mm-hmm.
2 or more in any one category.
Okay.
So have you talked to them about the cycle and the funding and there's things
Yes.
available?
Yeah, we can't afford.
No, but I mean, I got feedback from CDBG that a lot of the money was done, gone, and that's it.
I haven't heard that. Huh.
Was it for that year or that
Well,
cycle? or-
they went through this cycle and
And we're still in it? I mean, there's-
well, they had this money available. They had 37 qualified applicants. They were able to fund 28. So we have to
Because
figure
I
out.
think it was, the grant was due until the end of July.
Okay, so they must be talking about the
The next
second
cycle.
cycle monies then. Yeah, that's what you have to figure out is that the money's available for the cycle grant.
Definitely check into that.
it'd be worth a try. I mean,
Yeah.
look at, if they say no, fine, or if they say we're out of money, you could resubmit or whatever at a certain future date, whatever.
What would the amount be?
The amount, right now it's looking, we're gonna try to get all of it, so 450,000. And then we would supplement with, or augment with another 200,000 to pay for the roof. If we need all that amount. We've got some engineers coming in to look at it to really tell us whether or not we need to replace the whole roof or if we can do some other options to meet our needs. And so we may be able to come back and say, we don't need this after all, but CTA can do it as an engineering inspection.
Have you contacted somebody at CDBG?
I reached out to them and that's what I said, well, then they explained what the 2 different pots of money are.
So do you want to contact those?
Yeah, I've got it written down in the office.
Okay. Sometimes they call them, I don't want to act like I have no knowledge of what's going on. Yeah,
Okay.
that's, we should have, that would have been a perfect thing to put in our growth policy. That's going to be one of the questions is this identified in the growth policy as a project of interest and important? Didn't think to ask about something like that. And it's a little bit tenuous because not being incorporated, the towns have their community improvement plan. That's something that we need to work on for the county is a community improvement plan.
Yeah, since we don't have a local government per se, our only option is
Well, I guess I'll make a motion that we approve the St. Regis School District Community Grant for a new roof, and I can go ahead and apply for it.
I would second that motion.
Okay, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Good luck.
great, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You know, it's like this hour again. It's been a little bit, but
Oh, per every 2 weeks then, per pay period? 328 per pay period?
Yeah. That should, and we really need Jessica to come Thursday if she could, to get this grant sorted out with my replacement in place and understanding what's going on. Remember all the fun I've had with it? Next year, next federal grant cycle, it shows a whole lot more money than it does this year, with plans of not spending any more money than this year. But allegedly, the county can then get 100% reimbursement rather than the 60 or 70% we're getting now. It's supposed to be a 50% reimbursement. I've been told many times that, oh, we don't mind reimbursing 100% so long as you have the soft match.
Right.
Well, the LEPC gives you the soft match, and I'll show you how to keep track of that, and how I report it and everything when we go over all this Thursday. And hopefully next year, what I've been working toward is getting the county all the money back. This year, you've gotten a full reimbursement. It isn't logged yet. I just talked to Mary. In April, we got paid all of what we spent in the last quarter. This quarter, we will get just about all of it. The last quarter, we probably won't get anything because we'll have spent all that we had the grant for. But next year, like I say, your budget will show a whole lot more than you're actually going to spend unless you get the commissioners to approve it. So I would suggest trying to keep within the budget this year. You have some money left in supplies and travel. I'm not sure how much, but we'll get that all sorted out Thursday, and you can use that. I've used very little in supplies. I buy ink and paper and stuff. With your permission, he can go ahead and apply for mileage and per diem for yesterday. He came into the district meeting and met all the coordinators from the rest of District 1 and was introduced there. So I won't apply for travel for that weekend, if it's okay with you.
sure, and just maybe take him into Nicole and show him how to do the claims or whatever.
Okay.
And that your past, your fire chief, some of this training you probably already had, like the ICS 100, ICS 200, you already probably done that.
I think the stuff that you asked for in the job description that are done within 3 years, I didn't recognize too many that I've done in that area, but I have 100, 200, 300, 400, 700, and 800. And where I was from, we actually renewed those every so many years, so they're all fairly recent.
Yeah. Well, good. And George may have told you it's $656 a month, paid every 2 weeks, $328.
Okay.
It's kind of set by the state and everything, but I guess according to George, sometimes
Well, it's not,
feast or famine. Sometimes
it's set by. We can actually get much more money than that, but we have to match it.
Mhm.
And that's why I've been pounding so hard on this soft match, because we can do hard match and soft match. That's why I've kept the soft match going, but the way we've written the grant, Laura, you sat in on this rather heated discussion I had time with folks from Helena about this. They said, yeah, we can do 100%, so, but the way it was written, we only asked for so much money, so that's all you get. Next year, we ask for a lot more. And Jessica was in on this. She said, when we first discussed it, she said, that doesn't make any sense at all. But later, she said she understood. So, with any luck at all, she should be able to handle that. But I'd say, as long as Rob is in agreement, the salary right now, for the amount of time you normally spend now, if this is, as I think it possibly could be, one of those fire seasons that really sneaks up on you and hits you upside the head, you might have a month or two that'll be really, really busy. But Lori's went through one of them with me, and it's still not that onerous. You'll attend to quite a few meetings, you'll conduct quite a few meetings, and you still have a lot of free time, so.
Yeah, we usually, well, like the Mullen,
Well, Gulch fires, we.
and then the
90
Fish
mile?
Creek one.
Yeah,
We had a meeting in the morning, usually at 10 o'clock, and then another meeting at 6 o'clock that evening. You know, of course, this one was more,
in fact, you were at most of them, weren't you?
I haven't.
no, he wasn't.
No, you, that
Yeah.
was Woodland, yeah.
Yeah, but, you know, you would, you know, say, this one you would have been more involved in, John was more involved in the Mullen Road one, but, you know, the Fish Creek one was mainly just,
Yeah, opening the Emergency Operations Center is the primary, one of your primary duties, and that, every year just about, they've had an EOC training course. And depending on who teaches it, those are really good, they'll teach you how to run it. Plus, I'll be around probably, maybe, if you're lucky, the first year or so, you can give me a call.
that Martha was really good about, you know, of course.
And Martha,
Yeah,
she's
when this
real.
one, you were in Kentucky, I think, when the Mullen Road one started, and so.
Yeah, she said, be
Yeah,
real clear, she's available.
Yep, yeah. Anyway.
Well, good. Well, despite the fact we only got one applicant, I think the applicant seems to be fitting and qualified.
Yep.
Very cool.
We're pretty sure from what I heard that we're going to be too much interest out there, and I work 25 hours a week for the fire department. I have a lot of flexibility with that, just outside some training meetings, council. I control my schedule pretty exclusively, and my staff there is offers support. I've talked to Jerry from St. Regis and Monty and a few others that have been encouraging me, and we realized that probably nobody was going to be pursuing it. So I have some background. I think I can hopefully match up to what George has been able to give you the last 18 years, but we didn't think anybody else was going to jump forward, so here I am.
Well, thank you.
Good.
Thanks for your interest, yeah.
With that, I will make a motion that we appoint Robert Torrey as our new DES coordinator.
I would second that motion.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Congratulations, sir.
Yes, thank you for showing an interest.
Yeah.
Step up and help out.
Don't you have to get somebody in to make him swear now?
Do we have an oath here?
Hey, can you grab one real fast?
And then just raise your right hand, repeat after me. I do solemnly swear that I will support, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States
I do solemnly swear I will support, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Montana,
and the Constitution of the State of Montana,
and I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity, so help me God.
and will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity, so help me God.
Very good. Congratulations. I'll just sign this, and then George, you can go up, and Stacy can notarize it and put it in the.
Okay.
Do you need a copy, Casey, for it? Need for anything for your record before they go up there? I'll just sign. On the docket here, clerk and recorder position fulfillment. So I take it
Casey,
Your employee.
Casey, Jesus, I'm looking at you, so
Casey quit.
yeah, Casey quit.
I'm out of here.
Damn it. Sorry. I was trying to find my calculator and I couldn't do it. So Chris ended up getting a position with the travel center for like $3 an hour more, which is good for her, and she'll actually be happier there than because I guess the only difference is they don't have insurance yet. But anyway, so I need to get somebody in there.
When's your last day?
Next Friday. And I'm gone Friday through,
So July 7th is your last day?
yeah. Mary Mueller said she would fill in for that week that I'm at conference.
When are you at conference?
I leave the 7th.
Oh, so you'll be gone from the 7th till the 14th.
But as far as filling the position, I'm trying to do this without names and anything,
Yeah, you gotta advertise.
all that fun stuff. Question as far as, I know there's somebody fills in like for multiple offices and it's just a fill-in person randomly. They're not considered in-house. But if they fill in only in your office, specific, there's no way we can probably budge that either. Okay, I didn't
Kind
think so,
of
but.
like Melinda working for
Right.
so long.
I just, it was worth the ask because, you know,
You're talking about an in-house employee getting a little bit more of an advantage.
well, as far as just not having to go through the 2 weeks of
Oh,
crap, not because, you know, whatever, but, I know that there's interest if the position was between 30 and 40 hours a week.
so
30
not a
minimum.
full 40-hour week? Well, what about your office? I thought you were...
It'll be okay because, and this is with somebody who's a little more efficient and more accustomed to that type of position or work and a little more willing to learn or happy to do so, then between the two of us, it'll be more efficient all the way around.
Well, I think the position has to be advertised
And that's fine.
applications and
I mean, that's
go
fine,
through the
but
process of.
as far as the experience goes, I'm gonna put real specific things as far as what they need.
I think we've got a job description on it.
Probably not since before everything changed.
So do you have a job description written up to kind of go into detail?
Not yet, because this just all kind of happened, so.
But, and the conference you're going to for a week, is that the one in down south somewhere?
And then-
So you said that's covered, though, you'll be fine, even though Chris is leaving the 7th, but
Yeah.
it's not for...
I have Monday afternoon to find somebody, and then Friday morning until I can get back. I get into Spokane at midnight on Thursday night, and then get back here.
So what about the recording that needs to be done?
Same thing, it's always done when somebody's gone for a week, it gets date stamped, and it gets done when I get home.
Well, I mean, it's just that we've had some complaints about it not getting done
Once again, if people are gonna come to
Well-
you to complain, they need to tell me about it first, because the documents that they may or may not be complaining about, just because they're not posted, does not mean they're not recorded. And there's a process that has to go through. And with elections, they've been about a week behind, which isn't any worse than anybody else. Some
Well,
places are daily, and some places are 3 weeks.
I mean, we've been told that, you know, they're getting fined because they're not getting the
That was probably
documents.
a year ago that you heard that.
No, it wasn't.
Well, and they haven't said anything to
Anyway,
me.
so, you know,
Because those documents are available the minute Michelle says she needs them.
I mean, we're just going by
And again, if nobody will come to me and tell me, I don't know, so I can't fix things.
I asked this person specifically today if they had said something to you already, and they said they had.
When?
When did they ask you? I don't know, we spoke to this person today,
And why wasn't I called?
but they said they already talked to you about it.
If you guys aren't gonna work with me as far as bringing me in on these conversations, then I can't help you. It's just like forever, not giving me any sort of,
Well, that was a sudden phone call over here, so.
whatever. Anyway, I need to fill the position.
I just got
Yeah.
Okay, well, Casey will have the applications, they can pick up the applications from Casey and.
She's not in the office all the time.
What?
She's not in the office all the time either.
Pretty much every day.
Where do you put them when you're not there?
There's a job application box outside of the main commissioner door.
Okay.
Or they'll be returned to Casey and.
But this, well, I'm gonna review my applications and I'm going to hire my employee.
You will go through the hiring
Yes,
process
I
that
will,
we.
but I
that
am
we-
hiring my employee. Just gonna throw that out there. As far as
You will hire
experience,
according to what Mako's recommendations is, so Casey will be involved in the hiring.
she can be involved, but she's
And
not
we will
gonna
go
do
through
the hire.
the HR person.
She's not gonna hire my employee either.
They're our employee. They work for you, but they're the county's employee.
And we'll have a legal decision on that
Yes, we
too,
will.
Lori.
Yes, we
Anyway,
will.
as far as deputy positions go, at 1370, that's 70% of what my wage is. And 62%, which is, oops. This phone. 12.13 an hour. That's what I would ask for this to start. Because that's 62%. They're allowed to go up to 95%.
You're welcome.
And at up to 1,800 hours, it would still be less than what Chris is making right now annually.
You're talking about reduced hours. You're talking about the reduced hours. Instead of a full 40-hour employee, you're saying by reducing the hours, it'll be the same?
Yeah, there are certain weeks that obviously they would have to be there full-time, but I don't anticipate quite as many doctor visits because we're at the tail end of that. So being here isn't an issue.
What did we advertise that position at the last time that this went up?
Like 850 or 834 or whatever it was. It was lower. And if you want another somebody who is not happy to be there or is just going through the motions to fulfill a job and get a paycheck, then that's the kind of wage that you can pay somebody like that. in statute, the deputy serves at the will of the clerk board. Just throwing that out there.
All right, well, first things first, I guess, gotta get it advertised, written up, and put in the paper. See what kind of applicants we get. Get the ball rolling, and go to the next bridge.
Depend on experience, or, because there's certain people that will not apply if there's not the wage that needs to be there.
And Stacy, you plan on going for a part-time position?
It'll be between 3/4 and full-time. It's some parts of the year, like election time, obviously. Whatever works. It totally depends on the people that apply.
So what about in my case, since I'm still short a clerk, is there any way we can job share one person and hire in a clerk? Obviously, I can't hire in a clerk for $12 an hour, but I need a clerk back, and I don't know if that's in budgets, if that's something that's why I'm here, because I didn't know, I'd heard that it wasn't a full-time position. And if not, is it something that I can also work? I don't know.
It would depend on the person. There's actually been a couple people that have asked about it that said that if it was doable, they could do the reduced hours, but they couldn't do full-time. And obviously it depends on who applies, but.
And we're not far enough along in budgets to know if I can hire somebody back this year around.
You can always put it in your budget. I mean,
Well, I don't know, 'cause
I mean, it's kind of a wish list, but.
Well, yeah, but Jessica said that she would do salaries in that, so I don't know if it's put in there or how I go about getting that position back, if I ever get that position back. I mean, there's more than enough work, so. It seems a little unfair right now to be hiring somebody when there doesn't seem to be as much work, and I'm overwhelmed in my office and I'm
Unfair to
short-handed.
hire somebody when I'm losing a person?
Yeah, it just, there has been more times that
I
someone's
already
not
lost
there
one
than-
person.
I've lost someone too, that's why I'm asking to try to get someone back in there again.
So
And
you-
if it was something that we could share together, all the better.
Well, if there was somebody who couldn't qualify, then.
Well, like I said.
Go get her, then, yeah, that'd be.
In the past, that's
Possibility,
never
budget time.
particularly worked, especially if it's only, 1 day a week, because one, they don't learn fast enough and retain it, but the other thing, I mean, it's always floating, it depends on people's other schedules, and, I mean, I'm not opposed to whatever, but it's gonna depend on the person. As far as I'm concerned, somebody coming in that already has half the job down pat is a little more helpful than trying to start from scratch. Plus, being a deputy, they'd be able to sign checks and do all that stuff if, whatever. Although that hasn't been an issue, so.
Well, I guess we all agree she needs to hire somebody, right? I mean, get the ad going and just put depending on experience on the pay. And what else? I mean, the part-time versus full-time is not even include that yet? Find out.
Probably not.
What kind of applicants you get?
And then if we can put open until filled, so that if something comes up and nobody does or whatever, it doesn't have to be, because it kind of tweaks the way that you have to advertise.
I'm glad you got it covered for a while, and that's kind of quick. She interviewed him.
Yeah, kind of crappy timing, but what are you gonna do? I mean, I can't, in her position, jobs like that don't come open. The assistant, I think. I guess they had two of them, the manager and then the assistant one. And I mean, you can't blame her. Not even a little bit. She's been working 2 jobs since the day she started at the county 3 years ago, so, or 2 years ago, or whatever it was. 3 years. I don't remember. So, certainly can't. And like she said, it cost her more to go to the doctor than than just to not go, so she, I don't know. And I just had my cardiologist, one of my cardiologist appointments, and out of a $1,500 bill, they paid $200 and something, so. It's always nice. Coverage is awesome for basic stuff, but it kind of hurts sometimes. That's. What's the deadline on those, Casey, do you know? The, getting the ads in?
Tuesday or something.
Monday.
Monday, because holidays, Tuesday's a
Oh,
holiday.
yeah, so maybe Friday. for
So it
this
might be
week.
today.
Mm-hmm.
Will, if you have a second, will you scan your emails or whatever? Because I know sometimes they used to like email me, but they haven't for a long time, so I don't know if they.
Like a copy of the ad?
No, just time when the deadline is. Because I
Yeah,
don't even have
it's
I don't
usually-
even have this week's paper. I don't know what
So
happened to it.
usually you have to have notice into them. I do by, I think, 9 o'clock on Monday morning.
Oh, okay.
And then I have to have a copy of the ad to them by 3.
On Monday.
But being as a holiday, just wondering if that.
Yeah,
changed.
so I'm wondering if it'll,
Right.
because I know over Memorial Day weekend I had to have it into them on Friday opposed to
Right.
Monday.
Let's see if they have any.
I'm gonna say sometimes they put something in there, but I don't. Like I said, I don't know where my copy went. So.
Give them a quick call. Oh, to place your ad, classified, 826-3402.
Okay. It's not
Quick
like it'll be
call.
anything extravagant.
Tell
It
you-
won't.
Tell you their holiday hours or whatever.
Yep. That'll work. I'll call them in a minute. That's,
So, yeah, I guess we want to, it says possible action item, are we just doing it administratively, tell her to hire, or do we need a motion?
Well, yeah, she can post for, or, yep.
I'm following the procedures.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna, but it needs to happen as soon as possible. So if the deadline is a Wednesday, because that's when the paper comes out and fits the 2 weeks, I don't want to have to wait until Friday without, I mean, obviously conversing, whatever, but I don't want to have to put it out because I can't even get it on the agenda for that if, you know, if I end up getting enough applicants by that Wednesday. Because she has to have the agenda done on,
So, and then,
is it Tuesday or Tuesday night that you?
Tuesday night is my deadline.
Okay.
and so if we did get in right away, with you being gone, realistically, the interviews couldn't take place until July 17 or 18 or something?
I keep looking at the wrong month.
You get back on the 14th?
So I get back 14th, it would be like, because I'm thinking it'll have to go 1, 2, could even possibly be the afternoon of the 14th. Because I can review them from where I'm at, I don't have to, because they can be taken pictures of, or, I mean, whatever we can.
I meant actual physical interviews.
Yeah, but I'm back Friday.
Okay.
I just don't know for sure. I should be back early, but I don't fly in until scheduled at like 11:59 or some goofy time on Thursday night. Well, if flights get screwed up or whatever. And obviously I'm not driving 2 hours right then, but so I would guess I'd be here before noon. But other than that, they could be done the Monday after that.
Okay.
And I can be in touch with you or whatever you want, but.
let the hunt begin for a good employee.
And what am I able to tell people to ask? Just depends on experience.
Yeah, we'll probably have to
Leave
cross
it.
that bridge when we come to it.
Oh, some of them won't even interview if it's not there.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
And I know you know some of them, so. Anyway.
Have a good fourth.
Mhm.
Yep, just work with Casey and we'll get it done.